Hello and welcome to the Monsters, Myths, and Mayhem podcast.
Are you waiting on me? It's not even time yet. You're supposed to do yours first. This is Chaotic and my co-host. I have no co-host today. He's just a silent.
Hi, I'm Silver. I was just see how far Chaotic would get along in the intro.
No, that was it. That was all I was doing.
Some might say that intro's a little bare bones.
Are we starting this already?
Oop,
Is this
yes.
what we're doing already?
Yes.
I'm disappointed.
Because of the puns.
Always.
Well, today's creature is the Gashadokuro.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Do you have any idea who
I got
that is?
zero ideas. I got absolutely zero ideas. Is that what it is?
Just a cat making a cameo, wanting attention. The Gashadokuro is a yokai. Some people classify it as a Yōkai, which is a ghost in Japanese.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He's a bit of a bare bones yokai himself, as he is a giant skeleton.
Okay.
If you could picture a giant skeleton, how giant would you picture the skeleton?
Like those Home Depot skeletons? You know what I'm talking about? Like the ones they come out with at Halloween?
They're like, what,
the
10
70-foot
feet?
I don't know what they are. 74-inch or 10 feet. I don't fucking know. They always like have some ridiculous number on the box. But yeah, I think it's like 10 feet.
Okay, well, you would be about a fourth of the way there.
A fourth of the way? This thing's 40 feet?
It is, from my estimated guess, from where all the information I gathered, he is roughly 4 stories tall.
Okay. So yeah, about 40 feet, yeah.
There's a bunch of bone and skeleton jokes I had planned, but now that we're actually recording, I can't think of a single one.
That's about how that works.
Other than being a 40-foot skeleton.
Right.
This skeleton is made up of other skeletons.
Okay.
It's kind of like, did you have Bionicles as a kid?
I did. I actually loved Bionicles.
Did you remember how you could
Transformers were cooler, but...
Yeah. Did you remember how you can mix and match Bionicles to, like, make their arms and stuff longer?
Yeah.
It's like when you smash a bunch of Bionicles on the ground and you just put them all together into one big Bionicle.
Oh, so it's just a bunch of skeletons.
It's just a bunch of skeletons, yes.
I got you. I was picturing like whole skeletons like smashed into this guy, like a big have you ever watched the Kim Possible movie?
Yes.
You know the little Diablos? You know how they form one big Diablo?
Uh-huh.
That's what I was picturing. So I was like picturing whole skeletons making this man. But you're telling me that it's like multiple different arm bones from different skeletons and like multiple different leg bones from different skeletons like in those areas.
It's technically however you want to picture it. It could be just a bunch of skeletons formed together like flies and stuff, and like video games and stuff. They all form together to make a hand. It's just
yeah.
It's like those, but the skeleton just makes up a bigger skeleton.
Yeah.
Or the skeletons merge together and they make one big bone.
That'd be cool.
The most common depiction is when they form together and make just big bones. And they like meld into each other.
Meld.
But they can't just be any skeletons to make up this creature.
Okay, what kind of skeletons does it have to be?
Skeletons from warriors who died on the battlefield and were just left there and didn't get the burial rites performed. Or skeletons that were lost in the woods and died from starvation.
Oh.
And the burial rites were not performed correctly.
So just, it has to be like I don't want to say reject, because like obviously, you know, people that died during battle are not rejects. It's like like an unappreciated skeleton almost.
Yeah. It's kind of the, you're just...
uncelebrated.
Yes. The deaths were not put to rest correctly.
Right. They were, you know, like...
They were just left on the battlefield.
Not taken care of. Yeah.
Yeah. And that builds up so much rage and hatred inside these bones that the skeletons bond together with all the other skeletons that are around there and form this 4-story skeleton monster. Sometimes he's depicted missing several of his teeth. Other times he is bones on the skeletal frame light into fire.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll be a flaming skeleton.
That's wild.
The ones that have that flame on, as
Johnny Storm says, yes.
As Johnny Storm said.
Correct.
Also have a tongue.
Oh.
So it's a skeleton with a tongue.
That's kind of disturbing. It reminds me of that bone field, the bone field in SpongeBob movie. And then that fish is in it, and he's got the tongue that looks like the grandma.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what that reminded me of, is you told me a tongue amongst bones. That's what I pictured. It's gross.
And then other depictions of him show him as the skeleton, but his eyeballs, he has eyeballs. Sometimes there are no eyeballs, and just the hollows have flames in them. Other than that, he's pretty much just a large, naked skeleton. But the skeleton has some powers. Now that you know what he looks like. Want to do a new segment?
Yeah.
The Will Chaotic Survive segment.
Will Chaotic survive segment?
Yeah.
Chaotic wouldn't survive against most of these things, so I'm curious.
Because you got the last creature, right?
Uh-huh.
With the pepper.
Oh, I gotta tell you how we can, deter it?
Yeah, how do you think you deter or escape this 40-foot skeleton? Without knowing, you just know its description, you don't know its powers.
Just know its description. Just know it's made out of bones and a bunch of skeletons.
And it's 40 foot tall.
And it's 40 foot tall. I mean, I feel like the obvious stupid answer here is just straight force, like a baseball bat. He comes to reach for me, I'm going to swing a baseball bat at his bones. They're just going to be blue everywhere. But assuming that this man is magical, and it may not work that way. Huh. Honestly, I don't know. I want to go for something wild.
I mean, anything in the modern day times. You can you had infinite access to anything you want.
But I have to be able to use it, right? I can't say I want to use a tank, because obviously I can't use a tank.
No, you can say you want to use a tank if you want.
This opens up a lot of options. I feel like a 40-foot skeleton's running at me and I have an entire arsenal I can choose from back there. I think I'm grabbing a bazooka.
Okay.
It feels excessive, but I also feel like the bones would go everywhere. So even if he reassembles himself, it might take a minute, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm going for excessive here. I mean, I was bear spray last time, and this time it's a bazooka, so there's no in between.
That is a good option. It might slow him down.
Okay.
This brings us to...
Tell me what's going to defeat him, though, Matthew. I need to know.
The bazooka brings us the power number 1.
Okay.
Invulnerable and invincible.
Okay. So he would disassemble maybe, but he would be able to come back together.
Yes.
He would just reform himself. So I would get a chance to run at least. So Chaotic might still survive.
That brings
There's a possibility.
You mentioned power number 2.
Okay.
He can disassemble to fit into smaller houses and stuff. And he'll send little bone parts in. It'd be like the...
Iron Giant.
Yeah, or the Thing from... Adam's
Family.
Adam's Family. Except it'll be just a skeletal hand instead of just a hand.
Creepy.
Coming in there to get you.
How do we defeat him, though?
Run as fast as you can. That's all you can do.
He's completely invincible.
Yeah, he is completely invincible until he runs out of rage.
So is this like a D&D timed rage? Does he only rage for so long?
Yes, until all the bones in his body lose all their rage.
Okay, so a bazooka is a good option. If I keep reloading it and disassembling him, it might take a little bit at least.
But the more he kills, he likes to lick up and absorb blood, and then he'll absorb those bones into his body and gain more.
With his only muscle in his body that's not just his bones, it's the tongue. So he's just licking up. That's just so disturbing. It's so disturbing for me to picture a 40-foot skeleton with a tongue. That's it. That's all. There's no other muscles, no other indicate, just a tongue.
Yeah, it's the ones that don't have the tongue just like to bite people's heads off and let the blood soak all over his bones, then absorb the people into him. That way he just keeps on going and going.
Disgusting.
But if the container is completely sealed off, he can knock it out.
Okay.
So if you're in like a sealed container, you can escape that way. I imagine it works the other way too. If you completely weld him into a box, you might drain him that way.
Yeah, like cut him off.
There is also another. Do you know how he catches his prey? How the Gashadokuro catches his prey? Being a 40-foot skeleton, you would think it'd be kind of easy to notice, right?
Right.
And you just avoid him.
Right.
He can move completely silently and turn invisible.
Ew.
The only indication that he's coming is ringing in your ears. And that's because his bones are rattling so much it sounds like a ringing noise. That's only when he gets close to you.
Okay. A ringing noise. My ears be ringing a lot. That's a little worrisome.
Well, I don't know if that... It'd especially be bad if you have tinnitus. Where your ears are always ringing.
Bats. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's pretty much all there was on the Gashadokuro. It was kind of a bare bones creature. There is some media with it in it.
Yeah, continue.
The bare bones joke is the only one I can think of at the moment.
The audacity.
So kind of media-wise, the earliest record of the Gashadokuro was over 1,000 years ago. Yeah, there's a bloody rebellion led by a samurai named Taira no Masakado against the central government. Well, he died. He was eventually killed for leading this revolt. But his daughter, Takaishi Hime, was a famous sorceress.
Oh?
And when he died, she continued the cause. Using her black magic, she summoned a great skeleton to attack the city of Kyoto.
Oh.
And it just kind of went on a rampage. They actually got different depictions and art of this story. I think they even have it carved on wood.
Carved on wood?
Carved and painted on wood. Some more modern day media representations that you could see the giant skeleton in the movie Pompoko, the Studio Ghibli movie. There's one in there. There is also one in Kubo and the Two Strings in video games. It's Muramasa and the Demon Blade. Most of the Castlevania games have a giant skeleton in it in one way or the other. Adventure Quest Worlds, Borderlands 3, and even there's a Yu-Gi-Oh card called Gashadokuro, the Skeletal Mayakashi.
I know Yu-Gi-Oh pretty good, and I didn't know that one.
It's one of the newer ones.
I gotcha. I always forget they're making new cards for everything nowadays.
I believe there's also one on Yokai Watch, but I'm not 100% sure. That was all my media. Do you remember him being in anything else? Just a giant skeleton?
I see a lot of like giant skeletons in like a lot of Day of the Dead stuff, but I'm assuming it's not the same.
What's day? Oh, like Cinco de Mayo?
Yeah. I see a lot of giant skeletons when Cinco de Mayo is talked about and like shown in like a lot of the movies like Book of Life, what is that? Cute Coco. There's like giant skeletons in the celebratory like candy scrolls and stuff like that. There's a lot of big ones. I didn't know if they'd be related, but I'm saying probably not since we have like the different cultures. But that's what it made me think of.
It's not really rage filled.
Right. It's more of a celebration. But yeah, that's what it reminded me of. So no, I don't really know anything specifically, but those two movies is what that made me think of.
You know what you just reminded me of? This podcast comes out on Cinco de Cuatro.
Cinco de Cuatro, please. Oh my God. Isn't that May the 4th be with you?
Yeah, May the 4th be with you. Cinco de Cuatro is 5 and 4.
Yeah, it takes it actually comes out
Cuatro de Mayo?
The 3rd.
What is it?
Yeah, because we come out on Wednesdays, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so it'll be out on the 3rd.
Tres de Mayo. Hey, I'm learning Japanese on Duolingo, not Spanish.
Not Spanish. I never took Spanish. I took French, so.
Want to go on to Mayhem?
Yes.
So there's not a lot of these around today because there's not a large battlegrounds left uncared to.
Yeah. Well, though, we do have a lot of fallen, unknown, unnamed soldier graves, like cemeteries.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I know they're not on the battlefield, but they're unnamed soldiers.
Yeah. They were still buried, technically.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But that's as close as we could get, nowadays. It would be kind of something like that.
That's true. Other than a natural disaster, if one does somehow miraculously form, what's your take?
I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like if one manifests, are we talking like one?
Yeah, just one. Because that's usually all they have.
Yeah. If one manifests, I think with the entirety of humanity, no matter where it manifested, I think we could handle it. I feel like we'd find a way. It might take a little bit, but I feel like we could handle it. Maybe.
It can't turn invisible.
My thing is with that, like, the reason I'm hesitant is because there's a lot of rage it could get its hands on nowadays.
Yeah.
So, like, it could just become an invincible menace. But I really do think, like, by the time it actually started, like, terrorizing things, we'd figure out that we could, like, lock it up and, like, starve it from its rage or whatever. And then knowing us, we'd bury it somewhere under the ocean, and in about 200 years, somebody else would dig it up and it'd be their problem. So,
I imagine us just doing, like, the Star Wars AT-AT scene with it.
Uh-huh.
AT-AT scene.
Oh, yeah, the AT-ATs where you wrap their legs and then it falls. I could see that.
But if you wrap its legs, could it just disassemble out of the ropes? It's very possible.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it very well could be a menace. If wherever it spawned at, if that governing city and country did not handle it correctly to begin with, it could become a menacing thing, because it could get its hands on quite a few people and quite a bit of rage. But if the place that it spawns in handled it fairly early, I think we'd be okay.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think on the mayhem meter, like Terrast, I don't think it would have like a risk of wiping us all out. Like, I don't think it would have a mass risk, like a whole continent or something.
It's rage driven, but I don't think it's actually intelligent.
Right.
Because in that one old story, the sorceress had to control it.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of choose where to lead it to.
Yeah.
Then it just
I don't know, maybe we could Iron Giant that shit and make it our friend. You know what I mean?
I don't think the power of friendship is enough to...
Somebody's gotta control it. Somebody's gotta control it. Like, if it's too stupid, it's gonna be looking for a master.
It'll probably just be looking for rage and destruction.
Okay, but, like, what if I can feed it rage and destruction in a controlled manner? Can I keep it?
Like, direct at the cities? I mean,
maybe I have a city I have a problem with.
Maybe.
Who knows? I think it's a safe bet. I think it has a potential to be a bigger problem, but I don't think it's like so much mayhem that we would level it like with Terrast and, Godzilla and stuff like that.
There is actually a podcast called the Monster Smash League, I think. I mentioned it back on the Groot Slang episode.
Mm-hmm.
That puts the Groot Slang against the Gashadokuro, and the Groot Slang just outlasted it. It was so sturdy that eventually the Gashadokuro ran out of malice, and he just kind of fell apart. Pretty much is a matter of outlasting them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think it would end up being too big of an ordeal.
It might be a big deal if he was summoned in a busy area, but not quite so much if it was like a less busy area, like the desert or tundra.
Yeah, and knowing his luck, he's gonna be fucking summoned in the middle of the ocean or the desert, so.
Cthulhu will just fastball special him out of the ocean.
Cthulhu will be like, why are you in my grill right now? Why are you here?
What happened to all your skin?
Oh, you gonna tell people what we're doing next week?
You want me to tell them?
You want to? Yeah, you should tell them.
Listeners, there is going to be we're going to be doing a stream next week. We will be over on Kaotic's channel, and we shall be doing a tier ranking of all of our monsters we've gone through. It shall be fun. We shall see where they're sitting at on the tier list.
I'm very excited.
I still have yet to choose the tier categories, but I think it shall be pretty fun.
I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. If you guys are used to tuning into my channel and are coming to that, just know that I will have small sections where we will talk to you guys and then other sections where we will just talk to each other. That way, when we post the VOD, we can edit out the easy parts with talking to chat a little bit. So it will be a little bit different, but nothing too crazy. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're going to have a stream next week. We hope to see everybody there. You know, all that good stuff. Shout out to our patrons.
Ruby. This time first, because I always put you last. You yell at me.
Did she yell at you?
She did yell at me.
Deserved.
Loki. Nuggies. Super Mage. And Mondi. Mondi's last this time. And as for any news for the Chaotic Verse,
oh my gosh, no news. By the time you guys listen to this, though, happy May the 4th be with you and Revenge of the 5th. I hope you guys have wonderful days.
and Cinco de Mayo.
And Cinco de Mayo. We really slacked on not making it a Cinco de Mayo thing.
We never get the holidays right, or the special occasions right.
Maybe we'll do something Cinco de Mayo next week. Okay, stay tuned. Because technically Cinco de Mayo falls after this one. So, you know, we're fine. We're on track.
We're good, yeah.
We're professionals.
Time is a construct made up by gnomes in order to judge the cycle of the earth before the carrot apocalypse.
And with that, we are signing out.
Chaotic with the outro.
Thank you for listening to the Monsters, Myths, and Mayhem podcast. Silver and Chaotic take you into the depth of the lore and discuss how these legends could affect modern-day society. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or almost any podcast service easiest to you. Dive into the depths of chaos with us every Wednesday, bar Silver and Chaotic not missing their scheduling, and consider joining the podcast Discord or Twitter following even more insider looks and some D&D sessions. If you'd like some extra special inside looks or want to be a special guest on the show, consider helping us via Patreon. Your help makes a big difference to us both. Until next time, Mythics, you never know what kind of mayhem we might get into. Sold, we're done. Play the music.